week. Another theme here in the NFL, the week of the quarterback collapse. In week 7, you got Tom Brady, you got Aaron Rodgers, you got Matt Ryan, who lost his job to Sam Ehlinger. It's the week of the veteran QB going down.
The old guys are clearly losing it at this point.
Yeah. It feels like they've lost a step, maybe 2.
The future is now in the NFL. The future is now. So favorites, 7-7 for the second consecutive week, kind of turning the tide a little, had a horrendous start to the season. And the home team 7-7 again. 2 consecutive weeks, both 7-7. So a lot of parity nowadays in the NFL.
Everything's a coin flip these days.
Except for the primetime games.
Yeah, those you can still fade the public pretty comfortably.
Yeah,
except for the Cardinals on Thursday night.
Yeah, the public 1-2 in primetime games brings it to 6-16 on the year. The Saints threw back-to-back pick sixes at the end of the first half against the Cardinals.
It was bad. One of them wasn't the Red Rifles' fault, though.
Yeah, I mean, so it seems like
only one of those counts.
The Saints only lost by 8, so it seems like it takes 2 pick sixes for the public to win on primetime.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're going to continue fading the public, a nice tradition here on Betting Den. And then the Eagles coming off the bye, looking to stay undefeated. They have the Steelers, the Texans, the Commies, and then the Colts.
Those are 4 very winnable games.
Yeah, so the Eagles looking to stay hot, although the Steelers, you never really know with Mike Tomlin how they're going to show up.
They're crazy.
So they could come out and win, although it seems like the Steelers win over the Bucs was just because the Bucs are in shambles right now and not because Mike Tomlin and the Steelers are doing anything special.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Like, that win looks way worse than it did when it happened.
Right. Like, the win when it happened, everyone thought the Steelers were going to be decent. Maybe it's just the Bucs are horrendous.
Yeah. No, so, the Bucs really could
losing
be
the Panthers. I mean, that's
sorry.
Yeah, that's the low. That's a new low.
What's the other team the Panthers have beat?
The other team the Panthers have beat.
They beat the Falcons, maybe.
I don't know.
They started 0-3, so yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, Jimmy. If you want to get back to us on that one, but
they beat someone though, other than the Bucs. So that team also sucks.
Right, but the Bucs are probably not the greatest team.
No.
So let's move on now to this week's best straight bets and parlays. Last week's straight bets were 4-3.
Pretty good.
Decent, not the best following the 5-1 week we had the week before.
They beat the Saints.
They also beat the Saints.
Who are also 2-5.
That's not very good.
So, no, it's not very good. They beat the Bucs. They beat the Saints. While we're on the Bucs, they are playing this Thursday night at home against the Ravens.
Will Mark Andrews be playing? We don't know.
We don't.
Maybe.
It remains to be seen.
Maybe.
But this actually brings us to our first scary selection of this week.
Wow. That one's...
So the pick this week is the Buccaneers +1.5 at home against the Ravens. Obviously,
it shouldn't feel scary, but it does.
Yeah, I mean, the Bucs really just look sorry. They've lost 4 of their last 5. But Tom Brady teams, when they seem like they're at their lowest point, that's kind of when their Super Bowl video starts.
Yeah, that's when you never want to count out Tom Brady.
Right, like think back to the Miami Miracle, and then that literally started that Patriots team Super Bowl run.
It was crazy.
So, I mean, it seems like Gronk, he'll be back in a few weeks probably with the Bucs.
You think so?
Oh, Tom Brady will call him out of retirement.
He needs him. He misses Gronk.
He does miss
Big
Gronk.
time.
And so Fournette, he's been lacking on the ground game.
I don't know, but it feels like they're just a little offbeat, but they're still not playing that bad. Like Mike Evans drops that long touchdown. If he scores that at the start of the game, it's probably different. Yeah. I don't know. Everyone's still healthy. They still have a bunch of good players. Brady's still passing for a bunch of yards. I don't know. It feels like they can still kind of turn it around.
If the Ravens or if the Buccaneers are in it by the start of the second half, I think the Ravens could choke it. That's just what they've done throughout this season. It feels like. Have the lead at the end of the first and just choke the game away in the second half.
Like this past week when they went up 20-10 over the Browns.
They almost lost.
Yeah.
They were trying to lose.
Had a feeling they were going to blow that lead.
They were trying to.
They cannot play in the second half. It feels like they take their foot off the gas pedal.
Yeah, they really do. But hopefully They'll be able to cover it here, 22% of the public. So we are going to fade the public. It's a primetime game. So we kind of have to take the Bucks.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I don't know. It's just like it seems like a natural overreaction by people. Like the Ravens have been also pretty okay this year.
Right. But they have been blowing a lot of games.
It's the second half they just struggling. I mean,
which is better than the Bucks, who have been struggling in both halves.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
That's
I mean,
true.
fair enough.
All right, so moving on to the Sunday games this week. The first one we got in the 1:00 slate, kind of going with the public here with the Dolphins -2.5 in Detroit against the Lions.
You think that the Lions are broken? You think Dan Campbell's on his way out?
I don't know about that. I
heard the front office likes him and they're going to stick with him no matter what.
It feels bad.
I like the culture he's building. It's just the Dolphins haven't covered in their last 4 games. The Dolphins haven't covered.
So they're due.
Yeah, so it kind of seemed like the Dolphins were going to roll the Steelers last week.
And they kind of didn't.
And
it
then,
was weird.
right, and then nothing happened in the second half.
They didn't do anything.
Right, so, I mean, we'll see how they come back here, but I like them to cover 2.5. They are a field goal better than this Lions team.
Yeah, I would agree so. But interesting stat about the Dan Campbell tenure in Detroit. Guess how many wins he has outside of Detroit?
0.
So if they are going to win a game, it is probably going to be in Detroit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the only thing.
Although
what's his win percentage in Detroit?
Not good.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying he can do it.
Yeah.
He literally cannot do it.
He's done it before. Absolutely.
He is capable of doing it.
Yeah.
Is it going to happen this week?
Probably
We'll
not.
see.
Remains to be seen.
Moving on, we got the Vikings -3.5 at home against the Cardinals, with 54% of the public on this game. D-Hop was the entire passing game last week for Arizona, and the Vikings having 2 weeks to prepare for this one. Their defense isn't necessarily elite, but the Cardinals gave up 34 points to the Saints, and that offense is mediocre. So
Yeah.
I think playing against a really high-powered Vikings offense, I think they'll just be able to outscore the Cardinals.
I don't disagree with that. I just think that it probably is going to take a couple of weeks for Vegas and everyone to adjust to how different the Cardinals are with D-Hop, because their offense actually looked like a real offense for the first time all year last week.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. They were actually using him like all over the formation. Like they were moving him in motion against the Saints' worst defenders, which he just like has never done before with the Cardinals. So I don't know. Like that gives me hope that the Cardinals offense could kind of turn a bit of a corner here and, become an NFL offense.
Yeah.
That's possible. I mean, the Vikings
have an NFL offense already.
They have looked like an NFL offense the entire
Yeah.
season.
They might be an elite team. I mean, down the stretch in the playoffs, they might go far.
This is a really
team is really good.
It's
Yeah,
a
the
really
Vikings,
low
they are
spread.
5-1.
Yeah, it's a really low spread for a 5-1 team at home.
Absolutely.
Right. So that kind of makes you think like it could be a trap, but we like the Vikings -3.5. Another 3.5 line. The Seahawks are favored -3.5 at home against the Giants. Second straight week, the Giants are underdogs. Looking to cover as underdogs for the second straight week. I think the Giants are legit.
They look pretty legit to me.
Yeah, they've beaten some pretty good teams. They beat the Ravens 24-20. They beat the Packers 27-22. They beat the Titans 21-20. So, and what's key is they hit the under in 6 of their 7 games this year.
And no matter what, they're going to keep it close.
Yeah, the games are going to stay close. They're going to grind it out.
Yeah, and they have some easy winnable games coming up with the Seahawks, Texans, and Lions as their next 3. So I think Brian Daboll's the clear Coach of the Year favorite.
Yeah, especially if they start 9-1. I mean, New York's going to be buzzing.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually. Yeah,
so 46% of the public is on this one. That's why we like the Giants also. Whenever the public is less than 50%, that's always a good sign. But we mentioned we like the under in this one because the Giants have hit the under in 6 of their 7 games this year. So we're going to take the under 45.5 also. The only time the Giants didn't hit the under was week 5 against Green Bay. They hit the over 42.5 by 6.5 points. So it's not like they're blowing that out of the water.
I mean, they run the ball. It's they have slow games,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're not scoring a ton of points here. Even like when they do have a dynamic play, it's either Daniel Jones running or Saquon running.
So no matter what the clock.
Well,
is,
Daniel
he's still
Jones
running.
feels like a lock to fall down once again.
Daniel Dimes has been balling.
He has.
He's good. He's kind of good.
If he wasn't playing well, everyone would have freaked out about that run against the Jaguars where he tripped over his own feet again.
He does it all the time.
And
He's
I just
clumsy.
think he's moving too quickly for his own body.
He's very
He
clumsy.
doesn't understand how fast he is.
So he falls a lot.
He's
I
not
wish
He
that was-
does fall a
I
lot.
wish
He's just
that was
not a
bet
coordinated
we could
guy.
take.
Over a half Daniel Jones fall per game.
Fall without contact per
Fall,
game.
non-contact fall.
Yes.
That is electric.
NCF.
Let's see if we can get a book to price that out for us.
Yeah. 1 NCF per game.
Yes, one NC, or we can
It's
make it an unofficial bet of the podcast.
Yeah.
So, Sunday Night Football this week: Packers at Bills. Aaron
Oh,
Rodgers,
God.
an over 10.5 point favorite or underdog. Sorry, for the first time since his rookie season.
That's crazy. That is like
What I've
actually
learned-
crazy.
What I've learned as a Bears fan, you cannot underestimate Aaron Rodgers. So I like this pick.
Yeah,
I think the
48%
Bills-
of the public is on this plus 11.5. I mean, the Packers offense is in a similar spot to Tampa. They just are looking for something. Somebody really just has to step up in the receiving core. Christian Watson's expected to be back, so maybe he can add something.
Sammy Watkins is their wide receiver one at the moment. So
I don't know. The Bills could roll them.
Look, they're
We've
shopping
bet against the
around.
Bills before, and it's been bad.
Yeah, I will not.
Steelers.
I don't. I mean, I can't in my right mind bet on an over 10-point favorite in the NFL.
No, that's fair. And that is completely valid.
I just can't do it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's literally the Bills Steelers. Yeah, I mean, the Bills blew them out, and I, was still happy taking my Steelers plus 14.
I mean, the
I
Panthers.
wish this was in Lambeau.
Yes.
It being in Buffalo is not good.
Yeah, they're gonna.
I
Those,
agree.
those
But-
fans are rowdy.
But I mean, as we've seen, like primetime games literally never go the way you're expecting them
Never.
to. Like, did anyone think that the Bears were going to walk into Foxborough and dominate the Patriots?
I did not know.
I did,
I, as a
and then I
Bears fan,
still
did not.
didn't.
We
think
did.
it when I
We
saw
said
it.
it last week that the Bears were going to go in there, cover that 8.5 easily.
5 or yeah, it was 8.5.
They
It was
did
8.5. They
cover
won
8.5
by like 20.
easily.
It's
People
crazy.
They just got to start listening.
Big W.
I
then
gotta
they
start
just-
listening
And then
myself.
they just traded.
Yeah.
They traded.
Well, it's because it really makes no sense. The Bears winning that game made absolutely no sense.
traded
Yeah.
Robert Quinn for.
But
for
because
fourth
it made
rounder does
no-
not make sense.
No.
Well, they were probably just trying to get rid of the contract.
I guess.
Yeah, they're trying to free up cap space. Restart.
Yeah, let's see what we can do in the offseason. But this is not a Bears
OBJ
podcast.
to the Bears.
No.
Let's talk about Monday Night Football.
Yeah, Monday Night Football.
Please, Jimmy.
Divisional matchup. We got the Browns and the Bengals. This is a whopping 12% of the public on the
12.
Browns plus 3.5. That might be our lock of the year.
Don't sleep on Nick
Is
Chubb.
that?
I think this is officially our first hammer play of. So the hammer play of the day, Monday Night Football, Browns plus 3.5. They have a game script to beat this Bengals team.
It's in the
Long
dog
drives.
pound. It's
Yeah.
in the dog pound.
Long
Chubb
drives,
and Chunt them to
dominating
death.
time of possession, keeping the Bengals offense
Is
off the
Miles
field.
Garrett back?
Yeah,
I,
I think so. Right?
I think he's back. I think he's got the big yellow Q.
Oh God, questionable.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Very questionable.
Yeah, but
They're
yeah,
gonna run it down their throats.
12%. This is the exact game where everyone thinks the Bengals are just going to throw it all over the
Right, because
the
they
Browns.
finally looked good last week against
Yeah.
the Falcons.
and it's a letdown spot.
Right. It really
Absolutely.
is a letdown.
I think
Monday
Denzel
night
Ward-
in
Yeah.
Cleveland.
Denzel
They're probably
Ward-
going to get hammered on Sunday night in Cleveland.
Yeah, I
Maybe.
just don't
Maybe.
think.
Cleveland has good bars, I
Yeah.
guess.
I don't know. I don't know.
No.
Maybe.
Never been to Cleveland.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to Cleveland for the, for that Yankee. for
Yeah.
the Yankee
Oh,
Cleveland
okay.
game.
What are your thoughts on Cleveland? Give me a quick review.
I mean, I wouldn't go
Cleveland,
there for a
look.
vacation.
Cleveland doesn't deserve a quick review. That's my review.
Oh wow. Would you take your family there, like on a short vacation?
Like
A
to use the
weekend getaway?
bathroom if I'm driving through to a city.
Oh wow! Oh wow! Oh wow! I
All
hope
right.
there's no Cleveland
think
listeners
it's
out
on the
there.
parlay.
So the parlays for this week. The easy money lay obviously hasn't been the easiest for us.
It's been the difficult
It's
money
been
lay.
the difficult money. It's been the losing money lay.
Yeah.
But we're gonna make it back this week. Easy money lay. Eagles money line against the Steelers. Cowboys money line against the Bears, and
Lock.
the Vikings money line against the
Lock.
Cardinals. Plus 134. Lock it in.
Yeah. But the Vikings are gonna mess this one up.
Yeah, so are the Cowboys.
I know. No.
That's what we think.
I think it's
You
gonna
know,
be the
the
Vikings.
team we watch,
I
the
do.
Vikings are going to be the only one to win.
What if the Cowboys
see
and the
that.
Vikings win and the Eagles lose? That'd be
That'd be
interesting.
crazy.
Oh, I mean, of course.
The Eagles lose. I mean,
Look, we're picking. We have about a 50% chance of picking a favorite accurately based on the last two.
the
weeks.
Eagles can't lose to Pennsylvania.
So the favorites were 7-7 the last few weeks. So we literally have a 50% chance.
Yeah, I mean, these look fine to me. The Vikings scare me. But that means they're obviously going to win
Well,
by
it's not.
30.
That wasn't even a scary selection.
I know it wasn't, but they still scare me.
All right. So
I
moving
hate Kirk
on.
Cousins.
We got the Hungry Dogs parlay. So the Hungry Dogs parlay is actually a big one this week. We got the Bucks money line versus the Ravens.
Yes,
Saints money line against the Raiders, and the Giants money line in Seattle.
I like this one more than the easy money line. Isn't that crazy?
I do too. Yeah, it's just these three teams.
this one's just a fun one. I mean, there's no way around it. It's just fun.
Yeah, I mean
You're
the
gonna
Bucks
be rooting
offense
for these
hasn't been
teams,
very fun.
but there's still the Bucks offense. I mean, you can't sleep on them, and the
Like-
Bucks defense is always going to be good.
Yeah, the Bucks offense really just has been kind of miserable so far. I just don't know if they have enough to turn it around.
Oh, they
on a
can.
short week.
I think they can, especially
But
against a bad
we have
Baltimore
them.
defense.
We have them to cover. Why not have them to win? It's only another 1.5.
Yeah, it's the same thing
Basically, is the same thing.
until they lose by 1 point.
Right. So now heading over to the same game parlays for this week. 1 and 2 last week, 19 and 15 on the year so far. Obviously not a fantastic week last week, but the Colts plus 12.5 under 50.5 was a lock.
Yeah, you could have locked that one in, taken
Yeah.
it to the bank.
That was really easy.
Yeah.
So hopefully these will be pretty easy too. So we're going to start with the Cowboys money line at home against the Bears with the under 52.5 for that game. Bears aren't putting up another
No.
33 spot.
No,
The
especially not
defense.
against the Cowboys
right.
defense.
Cowboys, great defense.
I think the Cowboys are going to run over the Bears.
Yeah, I could see this game
unfortunately.
being like 28-10.
Yeah, or like what was the Cowboys
Could be like
Lions
35-7.
24-6?
Yeah, 24-6.
That could
Similar
be totally
posture.
reasonable.
5-7, like something like that. I mean, the Bears are just. It's going to be tough. A tough day for Justin Fields.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
It's
The
going to be
running
harder
game's
to
gonna be
scramble
tough.
against Michael Parsons.
Yes.
Yeah. It's also a tough day for Russell Wilson. If you saw the reports, he was working out
Stretching.
for working out
4
and doing
hours.
high knees in the aisles during the plane ride to London.
That's crazy.
Major celebrity player moves. There he is on the
you saw
celebrity
him
player. He is a celebrity
Yeah.
player. That Russell.
I mean,
Wilson.
Ciara is definitely a celebrity. She probably told him to do that.
Here's the thing
Do you
about
think she gets annoyed with him?
she has.
She has.
He's like a
He's
fake
insane.
human.
She went from Future to this
He's-
guy. I mean,
And
that's
he's been going
ridiculous.
crazy in the media this year.
Yeah,
Like, he really
and
was
he's
banking on himself
He's been
being
going
good.
really
Yeah.
crazy on the football field.
And
No,
banking with
no, he's not been going
he's
crazy
going
at all.
Crazy with the advertisements as well. I mean, we see him every single commercial.
Yeah, I saw him in a yogurt commercial.
I like that he's cashing in though. It's funny. And he's
What do you
got,
mean?
like,
He cashed in with his contract.
yeah, and with these commercials, it's hilarious. He's just diving in, cashing in, and he sucks.
Yeah,
They might have to get
Yeah.
rid of him.
he's really not.
Throughout the playoffs, if we don't see him and these commercials are still running, I mean that's just
It's gonna be like
the biggest
Baker.
meme of all.
It's gonna be like
Yeah,
Baker.
it's gonna be like
Yeah.
Baker.
That is funny. The
The Baker ones are sad.
Baker does
Yeah.
Baker do any commercials anymore?
What do you think?
No one wants a Carolina Panthers quarterback for their commercials, except for Cam Newton when it was the Mac Jones is stealing your job commercial.
That was funny with the little kid
Yeah,
from the Play
Just-
60 commercial.
Just warming up my arm.
Ended up being Mac Jones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And then it ended up being Bailey Zappi.
yeah.
And now it's Mac Jones
Life
again.
imitates art, you know.
Yeah, it really does. So next in gamer, Saints plus 11.5 against the Raiders, over 39.5 in this game.
Shootout. I guess 40 points.
Yeah, these defenses are nothing, and these offenses are. I mean, the Raiders' offense is good, and I think, but they'll keep it in with it'll be a 10-point game. I think it could be like 35-25. Honestly, something around there.
I mean, it's also just that, like, the Saints, like you said earlier, they threw 2 pick sixes last week. They lost by 8.
I mean,
and they put up 34 points.
That was a really high scoring game. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like,
and they covered.
They threw 2 pick sixes and they lost by 8. So like, hopefully they're gonna be able to cover against the Raiders, a similar caliber team, I'd say, maybe a little better. Although they lost to the Cardinals. That game was weird though.
That was a really
weird game.
So next we got the Giants at plus 13.5 in Seattle, and then the under 55.5 for that game. We have the Giants in the under as straight bets for this week, so why not boost them?
Just a little sprinkle.
Yeah, sprinkle a little teaser action.
A little double down.
I mean, these teams are going to run the ball. I can't see the over happening.
Yeah, you know what? We're gonna go ahead and call this another hammer play. Yeah, we just really liked the Giants. This past week in Jacksonville.
Oh yeah.
Now
they did disappoint.
Yeah, now we like them on the road again. And the under is almost too good to be true. The real under is 45.5. Some nice 10-point buy here.
Yeah, I mean, like we've talked about at length here, like both these offenses are going to be running. Like it's Ken Walker and Saquon Barkley, a little Big Ten football, baby.
Yeah. I mean, the Big Ten running backs are really showing out.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. That's what the Big Ten produces, baby. Running
Big Ten
backs.
produces studs.
Yeah.
So now to the player props.
Oh, yeah.
Last week,
pretty good.
Plus, you went up.
We're getting there.
Let's go. You're climbing back slowly. Slowly climbing back. That 1-11 week, you're
12-4 this week, and I'm back.
12-4.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen. So
let's
we're
find
starting
those
with
12.
the passing yards. We've talked about this team a little bit so far. The GOAT himself, Tim Brady.
Yeah, Tim Brady. Tim motherfucking Brady.
Tim Brady, motherfucker.
I mean, this one's pretty easy, like we've talked about. And the Ravens have a terrible pass defense, number 1. And 2, I kind of like these Thursday night games. Like, they're so sloppy that, like, there's not really a lot of defense played. There's not a lot of offense played sometimes.
It's either a lot of defense played and no offense played, or a lot of offense played and no defense played. I mean, these games are crazy. Yeah. I'm sure Bezos is like, why did I get myself into this?
I've heard they're trying to get more games on Amazon Prime.
Next year they have the Black Friday game.
That's going to be awesome.
On Amazon Prime.
That's going to be awesome.
Okay. But yeah, I don't know. Brady still is throwing the ball well. Like, people are freaking out, but he had 290 yards passing last week.
Yeah,
like, he's averaging 275 on the season. So it's kind of disrespectful that against one of the worst defenses in the league against the pass, this number is only 5 yards higher than his average on the season. And PFF has him projected at 329 yards this week.
Oh, wow.
Just really kind of blowing this out of the water.
I mean, I think they're just
which I think is actually pretty fair. Like, I do think he's
going
to go for 300 plus.
They're going to be throwing it up everywhere.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty simple, explanation there. Like, Tom Brady in the offense, like, he even would have had more yards if Mike Evans didn't drop that first pass.
Yeah, the problem is scoring touchdowns. It's not getting yards.
Right. It's finishing the drives.
Yeah.
So now we're going to sprinkle an under here.
Yeah.
Oh.
A rare under.
An under.
A rare under. And, I mean, you mentioned it. You like the under in this game in your same game parlay. I don't think these teams are really going to be doing a ton of scoring. Like, I honestly think the Cowboys defense is, going to suffocate the Bears mostly.
Right.
And the Cowboys are kind of just going to pound away because the Bears have a bad run defense, but their pass defense is seemingly actually okay.
Yeah.
And
Von Brisker has been showing out.
Yeah, it seems like they're top 8, top 9 in the league in pass defense and like bottom 10 in the league.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So if I were the Cowboys, I would attack them with the run, which is what they've been doing the past couple of weeks. And I don't know, like last week, like Dak didn't look bad. He looked fine, honestly, but he didn't look like electric. So I do think that he's still, getting full confidence back, like working himself back into the game. And like, why, if you're Kellen Moore, would you like put a ton of pressure on him to light it up?
Yeah.
Like they should win this game with defense and running the ball. So I don't know. PFF has him at 254. So like they're thinking he's getting right around this, but he hasn't gone this in either of the 2 games he's played in this year.
Right. And they looked abysmal in the first one he played. Like absolutely terrible.
And like last week against the Lions, like he had like 200 yards. Like he looked all right.
Right. And the Lions defense is supposed to be like horrifically
Terrible.
bad.
Yeah, exactly.
So 24 points against them is really not that fantastic when we're seeing teams put up over 40.
Yeah. And I don't know, like the Bears pass defense has been stingy. Like they did shut down the Patriots for the most part on Monday night outside of, Bailey Zappi having some little magic, some magic moments.
Zappy magic, baby.
Yeah. So now we're going to move on to your scary selection.
And this one's scary. This one's gross, folks.
Davis Mills over 225.5.
Yeah. So I'm not thinking too hard about this. Like Tennessee has a bad pass defense. They have a bad pass defense.
But the Texans have a bad
team.
Bad.
Yes. He's averaging 225 yards. So he's already just averaging this. He's playing a team that's bad on defense. That's really it. This number is so low. I mean, it's just crazy. Like whenever I see numbers like this and like I know the team is going to be losing most likely, I'm just like, it seems odd. Like in PFF has him projected at 277.5 yards.
Yeah, that's a lot of yards.
But like obviously, like what does that really mean?
It's a lot of yards.
But I do think that like the Texans, like the way to beat the Titans is more to pass over them than to run over them.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like the Titans, obviously the Colts can't pass. So
well, the Colts they have their own issues.
Well, not anymore.
Not anymore. They have
the future is now.
We buried the lead. We buried the lead.
The future is now in Indianapolis.
The future is right now.
Sam Ellinger is actually a viable quarterback.
We'll see.
Colts fans are excited. I mean, personally, I'm excited. Honorable mention on these quarterback picks. Sam Ellinger over passing yards.
No, I like his rush yards.
He's
quick. He's so quick.
It's not his total isn't out yet.
Oh
so
God.
That
take it.
That's good.
He's Drew Brees Jr.
No, he's way better. I mean, he honestly is like white Russell Wilson.
I just don't know why everyone's hating on the Colts for benching Matt Ryan.
Who sucks?
When their offense literally could not be playing any worse. Okay. John Taylor, 10 carries last week for 58 yards. Like, give me a little bit.
I mean, they gave him – he caught like 7 passes, but it's like, what's the – why do we –
just run the ball 20 times with Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, like, it's just we're overcomplicating it, and Matt Ryan's arm is a noodle. I feel bad for him out there. He literally just needs to hide in Atlanta. No one cares about Atlanta. Like, it was so much easier to just see his highlights every once in a while. Be like, yeah, he's kind of good. Watching him every week, it's just painful.
Yeah, I mean, now that we don't have to watch him anymore, people are like, oh, remember with Matt Ryan?
Oh, he's so
when
good.
He had like
Matt Ryan.
But we are getting robbed of him breaking the fumble record.
Yes.
He's not going to do that anymore.
Just like we got robbed of
Carson Wentz. Yeah. So a lot of robberies there, which maybe, blessing in disguise, not getting some of that action.
Yeah. So Elliott doesn't follow suit.
Now we're going to go over to the rushing yards. You mentioned Ken Walker. We're going to start with Ken Walker.
Yeah, and I mean, this one
Ken Walker
is also pretty simple. I have eyeballs. I've been watching him play since Michigan State. He was good in college. Really fucking good.
Yeah.
He's really good in the NFL. He's seemingly hasn't lost it.
Right.
He's got that dog in him.
And he's gotten 20 plus carries in both weeks where he's been like the lead back. And in my opinion, when we're talking about Ken Walker here, 20 carries equals 80 plus yards.
Yeah. Yeah.
And more so than that, like he's playing the Giants this week, who have a pretty solid defense, but we saw last week ETN had like 120 yards rushing.
Yeah.
He gashed him. So I don't know. I like Walker a lot this week. I think this is going to be, back and forth between Saquon and Walker a lot of the day. Like the quarterbacks aren't going to be the stars.
Ken Walker had 30 plus fantasy points yards last week.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was a beast.
Yeah.
And PFF has him at 89.5 yards. So they have him beating those pretty healthily.
Yeah, I mean, that's almost 10 yards.
Yeah.
So now, King
Henry.
The king.
The king himself.
King.
I mean, this one, I don't think we even really need to talk about that much. He's playing the Texans.
That's it.
Texans' run defense is literally horrible. Just Exhibit A, Josh Jacobs last week literally ran all over them.
I mean, David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert ran all over them.
Everyone runs all over them, and they're always losing. So, yeah, I mean, he's gotten 22 plus touches in literally every game this year.
Right.
He's going to get 22 to 30 rushes in this game.
Probably. I mean,
He needs to break one.
John Taylor had 31 carries against this defense.
Yeah. I mean,
for 100 something, 60 something.
everyone has 100 something yards against them. PFF has him at 100.2 yards this week, most for any running back.
Okay.
So I like him this week basically at any number.
Yeah.
But like the fact that it's exactly 100.5 is pretty, that's perfect.
I absolutely think he's going to hit it.
Yeah. Honorable mention on the running back picks, ETN over 72.5 rushing yards, after the James Robinson trade.
I thought about that. I thought about that, but the Denver Broncos, they've got a really stingy defense.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It feels like, all this buzz around him, all this hype of him becoming that true starter, and then he plays a hard team. I feel like he could, underperform and then bust later when people have dogged on him a little bit more. That's how it always goes.
Their pass defense is slightly better than their rush defense, though. I will say that.
Yeah, I don't know. I like ETN this week as well.
Yeah, so honorable mention on the ETN pick. Then moving over to receiving yards, we have the hammer play of the day, starting receiving yards. So the DeAndre Hopkins man himself.
Yeah, and I mean, I alluded to this one earlier, but I loved what I saw when I watched D-Hop play last week. It wasn't like this guy was just standing on the perimeter and just a red zone threat like they were using him last year. He had 14 targets. That's more than he had in any game last week. Right. 10 catches, 100 yards. Like, he looked elite. He looked like he was fresh off of taking a lot of steroids. He looked healthy.
Here's a question for you, though. Is D-Hop a celebrity player?
I think D-Hop is less of a celebrity player than Kyler Murray.
I think that's fair. I think that's a very good. I think Kyler Murray is a borderline celebrity player because of this Twitch stream nonsense. Yeah, a lot more than D-Hop.
100%.
Yes, probably.
And yeah, so basically I liked how D-Hop was getting moved around all over the field. He ran like 50% of his routes out of the slot. That sounds like that's just going to be good for him, and he's going to dominate teams. And they don't really have any good receivers right now. Like, Marquise Brown is hurt. Like, they're
Robbie Anderson barely knows the playbook. I mean,
yeah, Rondale Moore is like solid, but he's kind of more of a gadget player. Like, I don't really see how he doesn't get 10 plus targets in basically every game until Hollywood Brown is back.
Yeah, it's probably fair. I mean, Rondale Moore didn't even look great last week. He was supposed to step up too in the slot. He was awful. Yeah, he had one catch, so it's like D-Hop is the offense.
Exactly, and I think, like I mentioned earlier, like there's so much uncertainty around D-Hop. Like, he wasn't as amazing last year as he had been before. Is he taking steroids? Like, there's a lot of question marks around him. But I feel like now is when we got to capitalize on it before people are kind of like, oh, wow, D-Hop's, top 5 receiver in the league, like we remember.
Yeah, I mean, I think he is still that top 5 caliber receiver.
And like I talked about this last week when I bet on him, like he hasn't been hurt. He hasn't done anything. So like he's just very fresh. Yeah, and absolutely. PFF is kind of like recognizing this, I would say. They have him at 84.2 yards this week, which I think is actually pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Which is hammering his 67.5.
So we don't think he's a celebrity player. I mean, we let that run for a little long, is he?
We're we're putting that out there. We're talking about it.
Him and Kyler are borderline celebrities.
Yeah, and I mean, if they play well, I think that two of them could become celebrity players together. Kind of like Odell and Matt Stafford.
A duo celebrity
and
player.
Cooper Kupp.
Like Russell Wilson and Ciara.
Yes.
Absolutely. Exactly.
Duo celebrity player. So now we actually have another
hammer play.
Can
you believe it?
The back-to-back hammer play.
Unexpected.
Mike.
Yeah, and we've alluded to this one earlier too. I mean, at this point, we're loading up on the Bucks. We have them, straight up with the spread. We have them in the Hungry Dogs lay. We have Brady's over passing yards.
We don't believe in all this Bucks slander.
No, and I think we definitely don't believe in the Ravens defense, which is not that good.
Not their secondary, for sure.
Definitely not their secondary. I mean, even last week, Brisket was torching them. Yeah. I mean, he had a deep touchdown to Amari. Njoku had like 70 yards before he got hurt. Yeah. Like, I really don't see how Brady doesn't light him up. And Mike Evans, like, all people remember from last week is that he dropped that long touchdown.
Right.
But do you know
about like 80 yards, I want to say.
96.
Yeah.
On 9 catches. And he's hit this over in 5 of the 7 games this year, even though they've been bad. So I don't know. This feels like this line is just like way off to me. And PFF has him projected for 86.9 yards.
Okay.
So
yeah, it
20,
like he should
20 yards off.
Right. It looks like he should be able to hit the over 67 at least.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just if he's getting 10 targets, it feels like he's going to turn one of those into a big play.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Agreed.
So another big play potential guy. That's kind of a theme here with the receivers this week. AJ Brown over 70.5.
Yeah, and I like this one because the Steelers have looked kind of stingy against the Bucs and the Dolphins. But as we've talked about, like the Bucs, even though their problem is scoring points, it wasn't getting yards. And with the Dolphins, it just felt like things were, unsettled due to Tua being out for like a month.
Yeah, they lost those 3 games and then won the first game he was back. So they're 4-0 with Tua, 0-3 without him.
So, things were a little disjointed. Like, I think this Eagles-Steelers game is going to look a lot more like the Bills-Steelers game.
I think I can agree with that.
And what that game looked like was Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis absolutely going off.
Torture.
And so I don't think, honestly, that the Steelers have anyone that can guard A.J. Brown.
Or Devonta Smith.
So
Wes Watkins at that point, like, honestly.
They could probably guard Quez.
Maybe.
Yeah. And the thing with A.J. Brown is that what I've noticed is that whenever it's like the start of a season or, they're coming off a bye, like whenever he has time to rest, he really like is way better than everyone else. It's really just throughout the season, he gets like little injuries here and there that slows him down. But I really like him coming off the bye week to, get back to full speed and have one of those like bigger games that we're accustomed to. Cause he's had 2 like down games for him the past 2 weeks. So, and PFF has him at 73.1. Not that big disparity we see with the other guys.
No.
This one I'm kind of, I like AJ Brown. I like the matchup. I like him being rested.
Right.
This one feels good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the rest is a big factor, for a lot of these receivers, like especially with, Justin Jefferson, who is the next pick.
Yeah.
But with a guy like AJ Brown, the Steelers, as you said, like continue to get ripped, in the pass game.
Absolutely.
Except for by the Bucs.
Yeah. But like even in that game, like Evans and Godwin still had a good amount of yards, and last week Tua and Waddle like still played pretty good.
Right.
It's not like they played literally terrible.
That's fair.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So moving on, mentioned it. Justin Jefferson coming off the bye, over 90.5 yards for Jeff.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty simple pick. We have the Vikings to win. We have the Vikings in our parlay. So
it's a continuation of a theme here.
I mean, yeah, you give these stars rest and they're going to torch you.
Yeah, and I don't even know if Jeff really needed rest. He has 105 plus yards in the last 3 games.
Right.
The game's at 1 p.m., so Kirk should be, all good.
Elite.
All good. He'll be fine at 1 p.m. And PFF has him as the top receiver this week, projected at 102 yards.
It's pretty solid.
Yeah. And I don't know. I just like the idea of betting on the guy that's like supposed to be the best of the position. Like they're just in that like smash spot of matchup and talent.
So speaking of the Lions,
breaking news.
Yeah. Sheila Ford Hamp is frustrated.
Wow.
by the 1-5 start.
Wow.
But she thinks they already have the right people in place to turn this thing around.
Okay. Fair enough.
So Dan Campbell's job is safe.
Campbell is safe.
They like Ben Campbell.
He can rest easy.
I said it. I mean,
Campbell.
They do enjoy that man.
Yeah. But yeah, Jefferson, I don't know, like rested, not the best defense. I mean, it's a pretty simple formula here. Like when talent meets situation, we got to capitalize.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Tyreek.
Another similar situation here. I mean, Tyreek is playing the Detroit Lions, who, as we've talked about, we just saw there, she's frustrated because they suck. That's why she's frustrated. And the Dolphins offense, as I just mentioned, they're getting a little healthier. They kind of had that like down stretch where they went 0-3,
Right.
but they've got a full week of practice here. Tyreek, Waddle, Tua, they're getting that connection, that chemistry back.
They're undefeated. And
it's not like Tyreek played bad last week. He had 7 catches for 72 yards. But
that's fine.
But
it's not bad. That's fine.
There was 13 targets that he got. And so he lost out on 81 potential air yards. So he really could have had a much bigger day if he caught one of those 6 other targets, or 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
So which he's usually doing. He's usually going a lot higher than, 50% basically on receptions per target. And PFF agrees. They have him at 94.2 yards.
Yeah, and he gets a lot of air yards too, Tyreek.
Because they're just taking deep shots to him. So I know that it's always going to be lower for him on the amount of, catches he gets based on the targets. But we're talking about Tyreek here. He's one of the most special talents in the league, and I think he's going to torch the Lions for a deep one.
Yeah, he probably could. I mean, a guy like Tyreek can hit this on 2 catches. It's really not that difficult for him to be over 81.5 receiving yards. You mentioned he didn't hit it last week, but he basically should have because the offense was like silent in the second half.
Exactly.
So I like this over 81.5 also.
A lot of stud receivers this week.
Yeah, a lot of them. So now we're moving on to throw an interception. We normally have Carson Wentz in this spot.
We might have a new golden.
We have a young king,
but
it's
like it was staring at us the whole time.
Yeah.
Kenny to throw a Pickett pick.
Yeah. I mean, it's Pickett. It's right there in front of us. It seems like he's the heir apparent. With Wentz out, it seems like it's time for Kenny. I mean,
Kenny time.
He already has 7 picks.
2 touchdowns to 7 picks.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, he's throwing a lot of picks. I honestly feel bad for him. Like going to the Link in Philadelphia, playing on the road after the Eagles just got a bye, and the Steelers have been on this bloodbath of a schedule where they've gone Bills, Bucks, Dolphins, Eagles.
He was thrown in a tough spot.
Oh my God. I mean, that's brutal.
I mean, the fans were asking for it.
That is the epitome of brutality.
The fans were asking.
They like what they got.
So yeah, I think he's going to throw a pick.
Yeah. So is it a weekly bet or is it just a this week's bet?
We'll see.
We'll see, but it's feeling weekly.
Okay.
It's feeling weekly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're going to move over to score a touchdown.
Yeah. So I'm finally giving up on Lamar. It was 4 consecutive
You know what that means, though,
weeks
right?
of betting on him to score a
Time
rushing. It's going to happen this week.
You know that means he's scoring.
He's obviously going to score a touchdown this week, but it's kind of, I wouldn't be that mad because he's on my fantasy team. So I think I might have been jinxing him with betting on him to score a touchdown. You know what I'm saying?
I think I might bet on him to score a touchdown.
Go for it. That's fine. I would love for him to score a touchdown this week. That'd be great.
Yeah. So simple weekly bet we got here. Cooper Kupp over half a touchdown. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's Cooper Kupp.
Cool. So now we got Saquon to score a touchdown.
Yeah. So the Seahawks defense isn't anything special, especially against the run. Saquon didn't score last week, just following a little trend here.
Right.
Whenever he doesn't score, he scores the next week this season.
Oh.
3 times he hasn't scored, and he scored the next week.
You love to see that.
Yes, you do love to see that.
So I think we'll ride that. I think we'll ride that.
I think I might get a ride.
It's not bad.
Riding.
It's not bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Now we go on to the king.
To the King Henry.
I mean, yeah. Jacobs had 3 touchdowns against them last week. whoever played before had a bunch of touchdowns too, and the one before that too. Derrick Henry is getting it then. So.
Yes.
I mean, I know like I can't bet on this, but like I wish I could bet on him like 50+ yard touchdown. Just like that bet, like he's gonna score a really long touchdown. Yeah, like it just feels like the Texans are not going to be able to hold on to him all day.
Right. I agree. Derrick Henry is,
and he's been in form.
He's the strongest one on the field.
He's been playing good
against the Texans. He's the strongest one on the field.
I mean, like the Titans, nobody is talking about them, but they're what aren't they?
They're
4-3, 4-2.
4-2. That's good.
Yeah. They're a good team. I mean,
4-2. I think they're 4-3.
I think they're 4-2.
They had a bye.
I think
they had a bye already.
Yeah.
When that
Vrabel last week.
I think they are 4-2.
They had it with the Bills.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, you know who's not been good? The Colts, but we like John Taylor anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I like John Taylor to bounce back. I don't know, like we kind of talked about it with Eilinger, but like I think he's going to give this offense a little spark.
A little pop.
And I think they're going to run a bunch of RPOs, and they're going to actually run the ball a bunch.
Like, because Ellinger doesn't want to make the wrong read, so it could, you're literally just handing it to the running back, and then it's like, all right, I didn't throw a pick there.
Yeah, and he's also not the best passer, and he's pretty good at running, and he knows JT is good.
Right.
So I think we're just going to get back to basics here. Going to run some, nice read options, some easy passes for Sam, some easy handoffs. Open. I think the playbook's open, but it's also like, let's just simplify it. Like, this guy can move in space. Like, let's just get him some easy passes. Let's get the running game going. Like, don't overcomplicate this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, with John Taylor, it's just about getting him the 20 carries.
And the Commanders aren't good. He hasn't scored in a while. Everyone kind of forgot about him.
Right.
The Colts are being written off with this weird quarterback change. And I think John Taylor's going to be like, hey, I'm still on the Colts.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
mean, people are forgetting that he's in the league. I mean, nobody even talks about him anymore.
He's an elite running back.
Yeah. I mean, he was the 1-1 in fantasy.
I know, it's crazy. Like, no one talks about him.
Right. So now we're going to move over to the shootout TD parlay. For the shootout TD parlay, you got Tyreek and Jamal Williams.
Yeah, this one's interesting. So, I mean, I talked about Tyreek at length already. 70-yard bomb. Write that down. That's going to happen. But I like Jamal Williams a lot this week. If DeAndre Swift comes back. He's going to vulture.
He's the vulture.
He's going to vulture.
He is like
he's going to vulture.
The definition of the vulture.
We need a vulture graphic next week.
We'll get one out.
Yeah,
we'll get one.
He's a genuine vulture. Like,
he is. He's like,
he
doesn't play well when he starts.
No, and then when DeAndre Swift starts, they only give him the ball inside the 10-yard line.
Yeah.
I've never seen DeAndre Swift get a run inside the 10.
Yeah, that's
they hate him.
Fair.
They hate his ass.
Yeah, so that's what we got for the player props. So before we hop into name that Hall of Famer, we just want to go over some betting trends so far for this year. The top 10 teams against the spread. We got it up for you. It's pretty shocking top 10 we're looking at.
Yeah.
The Giants 6-1 against the spread, Falcons 6-1 against the spread. Like those are big time covers right there. No one thought that coming into the season.
Yeah. Bills and Cowboys a little more obvious, I'd say.
Right, and the Giants and Falcons are both one because they are tied for first.
Yeah, but the Jets definitely unexpected.
Yeah, the Bengals.
Texans are pretty good.
Everyone thought the Bengals were going to be all right. The Texans have been covering. The Seahawks have been covering.
It's an interesting list.
The Bills, even though they have 4 wins, are ahead of the Cowboys and Jets because it's about the winning percentage.
Yeah.
So Bills number 3 in spread cover so far, but we're fading them this week at minus. They're minus 11.5. Like that number's a lot.
It is a lot.
The Seahawks have been a slept-on team, but they are going against the Giants, who are number 1 in the league against the spread right now. So we'll kind of see if that evens out for the Giants or they continue to be slept on by Vegas.
This will be an important week.
Definitely. If they can move to 7-1 against the spread, I think it'll look pretty good for them going forward.
Yeah, I mean the Falcons 6-1 against the spread, and they're 2-4.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry,
3-4.
3-4.
Yeah. Right.
Are they tied with the Bucs for first?
Yes,
Yeah, they're -4.5 this week at home against the Panthers.
it's wild.
I think they've got that.
I think they have it. Yeah, I think
That's
they do too.
interesting. That's an interesting bet.
So
Let's move on. To
those are
names.
this week's betting trends, brought to you by no one. So now we're gonna move over to name that Hall of Famer. So, Jimmy,
Let's go. All right, guys. So we're doing quarterbacks again. So player 1 played 15 years. He was 99 and 80. He had 42,170 passing yards, 61% completion percentage, 232 touchdowns, 147 interceptions, 25 game-winning drives, 1 Super Bowl MVP, 0 Pro Bowls, 1-time Super Bowl champion. Player 2, he played 17 years. He was 147 and 93. He threw for 61,361 yards, 59.4% completion percentage, 420 touchdowns, 252 interceptions, 33 game-winning drives, 3 MVPs, 4 Offensive Player of the Years, 9 Pro Bowls, 4 first-team All-Pros, 3 second-team All-Pros, 0-time Super Bowl champion. Player 3 played 14 years. He was 80 and 93. He played 37,000. He passed for 37,000 passing yards. He was 57% completion percentage, 247 and 184 interceptions, 26 game-winning drives, 1 MVP, 1 Offensive Player of the Year, 4 Pro Bowls, 1 first-team All-Pro, and 1 Walter Payton Man of the Year.
Interesting.
Walter Payton Man of the Year. I like that as
Yes.
an accolade.
That is a good accolade. Interesting.
I figured I'd put that.
I think is
So let's go through eras. All right.
Yeah.
Arrows. Okay, so
Yeah.
player 1 active.
I think we could start putting the eras on in the
Okay.
player description.
Yeah.
We can try and do that. Player 2, he played in the late 80s to the early.
So player 1's active.
He played in the Player 2 played in the early 80s to the late 90s, and same with player 3.
Player 1,
he's active and
He's
he's a
active.
Super Bowl champion and a Super Bowl MVP.
a one time though.
Yes, only one time.
I mean, I want to say like Rodgers, but he has Pro Bowls.
Yeah, he has
Stafford has Pro Bowls.
Stafford didn't win MVP. It was Cup, right?
Right.
Yeah, no, he did not.
That's hilarious.
All right.
Is it like Joe Flacco?
It is Joe.
Oh, Joe Flacco.
I thought he played for
Look,
longer than
Flacco's
15
elite.
years.
Flacco's elite.
Those are horrible stats. Oh my
All right,
god.
so player 2 was from when you said?
He's from the early 80s to late 90s. Same with player 3.
Okay,
Okay.
but
0 Super Bowls for one of them. So
either.
one of them
For-
Dan Marino.
For either.
Dan Marino is player 2.
Yeah.
No Super Bowls for either.
Yeah.
1 Super Bowl. Oh, yeah, no Super Bowls for either.
Yeah. But player 2 is Dan Marino.
Yeah.
Player
Okay.
3 is a personality on TV. He's on CBS.
Boomer Esiason.
Boomer Esiason. Yes.
Oh
Boomer!
wow!
Yeah.
I sniped these.
Let's go.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was, we got these
Yeah.
pretty quick.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 Hall of Famers there.
Those were the Hall of
Um,
Famers.
All 3 Hall of Famers.
Yep, those were all Hall of Famers.
I mean,
All
one,
three.
one day Joe
Joe
Flacco,
Flacco will
Flacco
be Hall of
should be in the
Famer.
Hall.
Joe
of Fame.
Flacco is going to be the next Boomer Esiason.
Is he
That's
in the
pretty
Hall of
much what's
Fame?
gonna happen.
No,
No.
Flacco's
Just
going to be a Hall of
Marino
Famer
is-
because
He has, Esiason has decent stats.
I mean, they're way better than Flacco's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
yeah,
Flacco's
honestly.
getting into the Hall because of the Super Bowl MVP.
I mean, that's
Potentially.
crazy. He has 0 Pro Bowls. How was he never
Yeah,
on
it's
a Pro
great.
Bowl?
I was shocked to see that.
Not one
I
time
was
did
absolutely
somebody be like,
shocked.
we should get Joe Flacco as like a substitute. Like Mac Jones has been to the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
That's
a
actually
rookie.
crazy.
That's crazy.
I guess he probably just declined, or they were like deep in the playoffs.
I guess
Yeah.
he must have been a Pro Bowler when they won the Super Bowl. That's probably his
but he
1 year
declined.
that he couldn't have been.
I just don't see it.
That's wild.
Yeah, I really just don't see it. Well,
Yeah.
That's it.
That's all we've got for you this week here
Yeah.
on the betting den. We don't want to get sued, so we changed our outro.
Yeah.
So we hope you guys like the new outro.
Yeah. Hopefully this takes care of things.
Smell you later.
Peace. That's it. It's just clapping, by the way. That's
Yeah.
it. That's it. It's just
That's the
claps.
outro.